Hey, Rylan here at the Vic Shop. This Vision just came in off the trailer, doesn't run. And left a guy stranded on a road trip. So let's see what this thing's all about. First thing I'm going to do is just try to start it. And I'm not hearing a fuel pump, and all the dash lights are coming on. Cranks, but it doesn't start. So let's dive in. Alright, well, my first clue is that we all know that when I flip the key on that we should hear the fuel pump prime for 3 seconds, so I know we got some sort of fuel pump issue here. And anytime I got a fuel issue, I'm going to just plug in my pressure gauge. The nice thing about a Vision is that it's got this convenient test port right here where a common fuel pressure gauge will plug in. And this one it's all zeros. I can't even hear the pump whirring. Sometimes we could have a situation where you flip the key on, you hear the pump, it's whirring, but it just cranks, and doesn't start. And that could be possible. And then you want that gauge on there to see if it was generating anything. Because if it's generating something, that means it's getting power to the pump, and we can kind of go in a different direction. But this is all zeros, so I'm thinking electrical. So next thing I'm going to do is pop the cowl off. There's a connection here for the radio antenna. And then we're up underneath where you can pull a couple plastic pins out and gain access to the fuse block here. Well, this is one of two. There's another fuse block over here. But this is the one that's got the fuel pump relay in it. And so if we look at the diagram here, here's the, the fuel pump relay is next to the engine relay. And I have seen where the fuel pump relay will go bad. And this is a 5-minute fix. You go in there and we swap out the one with the engine relay. And then when you flip the key on, you'll hear the fuel pump energize, and that gauge will bounce back up to 50 psi where it's supposed to be. But I've already done that swap in this particular bike in advance, and I can tell you it doesn't do anything. It didn't make a difference. And another indication is a lot of times I'll put my finger on this, and then with the other hand I'll flip the key on, and you can actually feel the relay trigger. It'll click, it'll be audible, and you'll be able to feel it. And that's the case with this. So here, I don't know if you heard that little click on the video, but that's the click of it engaging, which leads me to we're probably gonna have to strip all the body panels off and check out the fuel pump. The fuel pump is kind of underneath right here on the fuel tank. You know, it's got saddlebag fuel tanks on either side of the frame up front here, with the fuel pump being in the right-hand side. And you got to strip all this bodywork off. For me, I've done it a million times, and I know exactly where each screw is. But for you, it's going to be a little more complicated. But that's what it's going to take to get into the fuel pump system next, which is kind of where this real quick diagnosis has led me. So let me get some tools out, and I'll start stripping off these panels and see what's next. Alright, well, that was kind of a pain in the butt just to get at the fuel pump. Probably I could have finagled this connection up, you know, way. This is the fuel pump connector here to test it, but I was pretty confident in my diagnosis that I would need to take this whole side panel off in order to get at the fuel pump itself. And So what I've done is I just got my test light here. I've hooked it straight to the battery ground. We're going to unhook the connector for the fuel pump. It's got a 4-pin connector here. Power and ground for the pump, and then it's got a power and ground for, or sensor lead and ground for the fuel level sensor. And I just know from experience that the power for the fuel pump is this purple wire on the end. And so I'm just going to put the wire tester into the purple lead, and then we're going to flip the key on. And sure enough, we get our 3 seconds there. So that means, let's do it one more time so you can hear it and see it. And then if you listen closely, you can hear the relay clicking there, and then you can watch the fuel pump light. This is, again, power to the fuel pump. And so the way that the system works is it primes the fuel pump for 3 seconds, and then it waits for the crankshaft turning signal from you cranking the engine over, and then it'll re-illuminate that. But that's enough for me to know that it's getting power, but it's not turning the pump. So needs a new fuel pump. Easy as that. Just get online to victorymotorcycles.com and order up a new fuel pump and stick it in there. Get them while they're available. Who knows if they'll be available a month or 6 months or a year from today when I'm filming this. But today they're available, $451. And so let me take some time to scrounge up that part, and then I'll show you how to get it out of there, because that's quite the interesting piece. I don't know if you noticed on the time lapse that I took the speaker out. And the next thing I'm going to do is take the speaker surround grill, or not grill, but the back of the speaker out, because this fuel pump is going to come through the speaker hole. Gotta tilt it just right. It's spring loaded, so sometimes working that back and forth helps you get it out of there. Alright, well, got a new pump out. I finagled it back in there. It was quite the pain in the butt. But before I bolt it all down, I'm going to hook up the lines, hook up the power, and let's just test it out here. That's better. And then, of course, it shot up on the gauge, too. Very nice. So, easy as that, right? Now we can put all that body work back on, reverse order of removal, and hit the road again. Happy wrenching.